So, hello, and good evening. Welcome back for another Monday. I am actually just coming on live tonight to give you some important updates as it relates to our Candid Crucial Community Conversations. I am super excited to be back with you another Monday. I actually wanted to come on to just kind of have a discussion. First of all, just to thank all of our previous speakers who actually joined us and who has shared in on conversation as it relates to the various topics, as speaking on social injustice, speaking about just the various things that are happening throughout the nation. So tonight we were actually going to have join us some of the candidates that are running for the Dorchester County Board of Education for some of those elected offices. However, we have pushed that broadcast back until next week. So I just actually want to make mention of that. I am super excited to actually be able to expand the network, to be fortunate to actually connect with some individuals that are homeschooling, that really have some very versatile knowledge about the homeschooling process, that actually have had experience in working in private schools in various sectors, to come on these various Mondays to actually facilitate conversation around what are the benefits from homeschooling or sending your child to private school versus public school. And I will tell you that I was very fortunate to be able to see the replay of the broadcast from Superintendent Mr. Bromwell, as well as Dr. Teresa Stafford, who moderated that conversation. And since last week, I've had many people to reach out to me to ask questions as it relates to what is going to be the direction that DCPS, or the decision or the determination that was made for the upcoming school year. And I got to be honest, from what I gathered from that conversation, there are no definitive answers. I do want to share that I have learned today that the board meetings for Dorchester County is actually live streamed. Every single meeting that is open to the public is actually live stream, and that was something that I did not know. I learned that today after having a conversation with Susan Morgan, who is running for one of those Board of Education seats to be a board member. She actually shared that information with me today. I do not recall it being mentioned on the broadcast with Superintendent Mr. Brumwell last week. So I did want to make you all aware that those broadcasts or those meetings are actually live streamed. So community, you're able to go on this link, and I'm actually going to post the link. You're able to go on the link to actually see and hear the past board meetings, to see and to hear exactly what's going on as it relates to discussion for what's happening within Dorchester County. And I would urge any of our viewers who are watching from other counties to also reach out to your school boards to find out if they have a live stream option, to get that link to be able to also listen in to what's actually going on at your board meetings, to know exactly or to keep up to date with various notifications or decisions as they are discussed as it relates to the reopening of schools. That is a conversation that's happening throughout Maryland as it relates to the reopening of schools. And I can appreciate Miss Susan Morgan for sharing that information with me. I do want to make mention that many people reached out to me about the community being a part of or having the opportunity to voice their opinion as it relates to the reopening of schools. I do know that Mr. Brumwell, he made mention of surveys that were sent home. I actually have 4 children that are enrolled into Dorchester County Public School System, 3 that actually attended one of the elementary schools and 1 that attends Masons Lane Middle School. And I personally I don't recall receiving any form of survey to submit any of my feedback or any of my input as it relates to the transition because of COVID-19 to the packets, to even being able to have the opportunity to share my input as it relates to various events. So it was good news for me to find out that the board meetings are live streamed, just as the city council meetings are live streamed as well. For those in the community that want to actually listen in, you don't have to listen live time. However, those meetings are posted for you to go back and listen to. So I did want to make mention of that. I will tell you that that is definitely a hot topic on social media. And I am one that will always say you can't always go off of a social media post or just what you've heard. Sometimes you got to do your research, go and listen to the live streams to actually hear what the board members are discussing, to hear what Mr. Brumwell, Superintendent Brumwell, is actually saying as it relates to the reopening of schools. You can't just go off of someone's status. You have to dig for information. You have to become engaged. You have to be involved. So I am super excited to make the announcements that going forward on Mondays, as we are hosting these Candid Crucial Community Conversations virtually, we will be having individuals that are actually running for elected school board office, that are running for city and maybe even county offices to share this platform with them. It doesn't make a difference if you're not in Dorchester County. If you are running for an elected office, or if you have an interest of becoming engaged in your local community, please do reach out to me so that I can get your feedback, I can get your input. Because again, this is all about being committed to continuously having conversation that's going to raise awareness, as well as to shed insight and to enlighten our community on all aspects. So we don't just want to talk about the social injustices, but we want to talk about things that's going to bring awareness, to educate our community, to get them involved, to get them fully engaged and aware of what's happening. I will tell you that over the next couple of weeks, next Monday, we will have individuals that are running for school board that will be on this platform discussing what their platforms is, sharing their insight and input as it relates to the reopening of schools. Again, this is just their perspective, as well as how they see everything and what they believe as it relates to should be one of the best practices for conversation or for consideration for the reopening of schools. I just want to also make mention that I've seen on that stream many people asking questions about homeschooling, many people asking questions about private school, many people had concerns about daycare as it relates to them having to go back to work, or them still being able or still having to work as we have been experiencing this pandemic. So I'm excited because over the next couple of weeks, we will have individuals that will come on with the expert knowledge. And one of the things that I always say is that I am not looking to be an expert at every subject matter, at everything, but I'm grateful to be a part of networks that have experts to be able to speak to those various questions or concerns that community does have in order to share their insight. There are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns that community has shared, as I have seen on social media, that I am just intentional about providing the platform for us to have open dialogue, open discussion around what's happening, as well as to partake in how we can become engaged to be a part of the solution. It's not enough to sit behind the screen and put in our comments to say that, this is what I believe, but it's how will you put your hands, your feet to work in order to see and to ensure that everyone, and I can't even say that everyone, because I know that there's not one solution that's going to satisfy every individual. However, can we come together as a community to facilitate or to see solutions, practical solutions happen that will be in the best interest, not only for our children, but for parents, but also for teachers, administrators, every person. I know, again, one solution doesn't fix a problem. So I'm just excited because over the next couple of weeks, we will have individuals that are running for various elected offices that will be on. We have individuals that have been seasoned in their office to share their expertise specifically for those that have an interest in running for any elected office. I will be honest and share my experience as it relates to me running for an elected office last election term. I will tell you, I ran with no prior knowledge of what it took to become an elected official. And to be very transparent, I actually ran for office not to win. Prior to me registering my candidacy, my paperwork, and filing for my candidacy, I actually reached out to those elected officials to see how I could work with them, work alongside of them to provide support to them at no cost, volunteering just because I wanted to be engaged, because I wanted to support my community, because I never had the dream of becoming a politician. And I can tell you that after going through that experience, running for office, actually networking with various politicians, I have gained some very, very educated and insightful mentors through that process who has really taught me a lot about running for elected office. And I have to be honest, for myself, I have learned, while maybe one day I will run for another elected office, I feel like my lane is better advocacy, better being a voice to help to push or translate some of the very uh, the word that I'm looking for is some of the very challenging language that are used in politics, is just being able to have conversation, to get the simplest form of that policy to be able to relay it to communities. So I feel like I am a much better advocate. So I rather stay in the lane that God has graced me for and just continue to learn the competencies that it takes in order to one day, notice I say one day, to run for office again, to be very efficient and effective as an elected official, and really keeping in the forefront that elected officials, again, we elect our officials in office to work for us as the people. So when there is policy created, when there are questions or concerns that you have as community, you really need to dig into learning who is elected in your district, in your county, to in office to serve you as the people, so that you can actually reach out to those individuals to advocate for you. I got to be very transparent and honest. As I begin to become more engaged in Dorchester County, one of the main reasons that I ran for county last election term was because I have a vested interest in education, specifically to ensure not only that children of every race, every color, and every creed is they get that equity education, but also being able to empower parents to be advocates for their children. So for me, that was one of the reasons why I ran for county council, really not understanding what it meant to sit on the county council, but really running with the education, me being able to have a voice at the table when it comes down to the allocation of funding from county council to the Board of Education. So that's the reason why I actually ran for county council, but it was specifically as it relates to the Board of Education, being able to have that voice. And I got to tell you that I've noticed that the county council has been more intentional about partnering up with Dorchester County Public Schools to facilitate those conversations, and as well as to build those relationships. And in my engagement, I have reached out to and wrote emails to every elected board member that serves currently on the Dorchester County Board of Education as a board member. And I can honestly say, transparently, open, publicly, that Miss Laura Layton has been very responsive in nature. And that is exactly, as a parent and as a community member, that is what we need. If you are elected in office to serve us, the people, when we reach out, when we have questions, even if you don't have the answer, the least that I'm going to say me, I'm going to speak for me, the least that I am looking for is someone to acknowledge, number one, I got your email or your message. Number two, even though I do not have the answer to your question, I am acknowledging that I hear you. And that's exactly two of the main things that I look for when I am considering, voting for someone. How responsive are they? Are they really acknowledging, that I do have a concern? And while I may be one of many in Dorchester County, just to know that my concern has been acknowledged, it means a lot. So for anyone, just keep that in mind. Whatever county you reside in, keep that in mind. Know that any person that is elected in office, they are elected to serve us as the people. And us as the people, as a constituent, we have an ongoing obligation, and that is to serve as well as to support our elected officials. I can't say that enough. We can elect someone in office because, for whatever reason, many people say, oh, I want most of the elected officials to be Democrats. I want them most to be Republicans. However, for me, when it really comes down to the matter of all things, I want to know the person that I am electing in office, or that I'm voting to try to get elected into that office, will they work for the people? Not just me, not just one person, but will they work for the people? And when we get to that place where we're not so gun-ho on, okay, if they're Democrat or if they're Republican, but what is their record as it relates to responsiveness? Are they a listener? Are they a good listener? Are they one that's going to advocate for the needs of our community, prioritizing the needs for the community? Not just because, oh, this is an immediate need for Shay, or this is an immediate need for Dorchester County, but what is the immediate needs for our community? So one of the questions that I will ask the the individuals that are running for elected offices, do you have a top three? What are your top three things that you see that are things that are immediate needs for our community? So for those that are looking to see, oh, well, should I vote for this person? Is that really a need? Is that a urgent need, or is that something that the community needs as a whole? I am about sick of people running for office just to have name recognition in their community, or to have their name just saying, oh, I've done this. I'm just ready to see people in office that will continue the work for those that have already blazed the trail and that have already started the change. What will you do to continue to see that work be fulfilled? And how are you committed to continuously engaging a community that will be coming together to build that bridge, to fill in the gap, to see change, not for one denomination, not for one political party, not for one race, but for all? And again, I know, let's be realistic here. We know that not just one person or one solution will be the fix it all, be it all for every person. So we do have to be realistic, but at the same time, we just can't be on social media voicing our opinion, saying this is what I think should be done, A, B, and C, but not really understand the process that things have to go through before it actually becomes a policy. There's committees that policies have to go through before it becomes law. So just really as a community, understanding and being able to give some grace to our elected officials to be able to say, okay, I understand this is a process, but being able to check in with those individuals to see where we are in the process. One of the things that I do want to talk about in a broadcast is how do we build how do you build trust in a community that has lost, that where the trust has been lost for many years? That's a real conversation. How can we build trust within our officials to work for us as the people, because there has been a good old boy system for so many years, or because there has been so many broken promises that have been made to community as it relates from one elected official? If I can be honest, because of the way that the meetings are designed, one individual can't make a promise when elected without having at least two other people, depending on the size of the board, to also vote for a matter. So a person can't make a promise when they're running for office because they're not the say it all, be it all, and it just is done with them. It is actually the consensus of the entire board. So I just want community to keep that in mind as well. So that's all I actually have. I actually wanted to share what will be happening on this platform over the next couple of weeks. We are live every single Monday at 7:30. And over the next couple of weeks, so we're going to have individuals that are running for elected offices to come on to talk about their platforms, to talk about how you can become involved, how you can support them if that is your desire. Not to say you must support or you must vote for them, but we all are saying we need change. We need change. We want to see change. But how will you be a part of the change? And know that voting election day is just one day, but there is a voting process that actually happens. In order to see a candidate successful in the election, you have to be a part of the voting process. So if you've missed the broadcast where the Councilwoman Donzella Wilson and Delegate Sharice Apple Hughes was on, you need to go back and look at that broadcast. There is a voting process. And we need individuals that's going to be a part of the process, not just turn the polls out on election day. That is great. We want people to vote. We want them to turn the polls out. But we want you to be a part of the process so that when you are turning out the polls on election day, you are voting very informed. You're making an informed decision about who you're voting for. You're just not voting down the line because, oh, I know this last name. You may not even know the individual, but because you know the family's last name, you vote for that person. We don't want to continue with the tradition that we just vote for name recognition. We don't want to continue with the tradition because, oh, I'm a Democrat and this is a Democrat. I want all Democrats and I want all Republicans in. We want people elected in these offices that's going to do the job, that's going to do the work. And we need a community that's going to be raised up to understand that it's not just voting the person in, but it's also supporting them after they are elected. How do you support? If you can't show up virtually to support your elected officials now, we are going to have some serious problems when we walk or when the governor phases out Maryland's full recovery phase. If you can't show up virtually now, we're going to have some issues. So I urge you in other counties, reach out to your local school boards, reach out to your county councils, reach out to your city councils to find out if they have a live stream so that you can actually sit in or listen in on those meetings. You may not sit in front of a computer, type comment for comment, but just listen in. I said last year, the city council was actually talking about raising property taxes, and we don't really want to talk about it, but people don't really understand. They get their mortgage statement and they see an increase in mortgage, and the first thing that they're doing is they're calling up the mortgage company or the lender, and they're fussing at the lender saying, oh no, my mortgage just went up $30, but they don't even realize that there was a process that happened before the mortgage went up $30. And that process actually started taking place in their local council meetings that they missed. So I urge you to find out if your city council, if your county council, if the school board, they're having these meetings, if they are live streamed, share, get the links, share them on your Facebook. The same way we share gossip, we share mess, share something that's going to help to educate and to keep our community informed. I cannot stress it enough. And I didn't get on here to hoop today, but I'm just saying we have to do better as a community. So that's all the updates I have for you. Listen, I'm excited. Again, I am not looking for any recognition. I'm not looking for any popularity in this. I'm just looking to help to educate our community, to help to empower our people to become engaged and involved in not just the voting process, but engaged in building up our communities. We want to see change in our communities, but we need to be a part of that process. And we can't be a part of the process with our thumbs towards Facebook creating new statuses about what's not right, but we're not showing up to voice our opinions and to voice our insight as it relates to various topics and discussions that they're having before any of these things are actually implemented. So there is a process. And since I have learned that our school board meetings have been live streamed for months, Dorchester County Public School families, community members, and whomever else that wants to hear about what's going on in Dorchester County, it has been live streamed for months. I do give away for the IT team at DCPS, who has changed the website tremendously. But for individuals that don't know how to navigate websites, that are not tech savvy, we need to create some type of directory that will post those direct links so community members can click the link and just tune right in. And I'm trying to be intentional about that. I'm trying to build a team for our Candid Crucial Community Conversations because I'm only one person. I have 4 kids. I still work full time. I have a husband. I'm doing a lot. So I'm trying to build a team. So if you're intentional about building a community, you don't have to be in Dorchester County. I want you to reach out to me. I want to share the vision. I want you to come on and one day you facilitate or be the moderator for discussion. It don't have to be me. But I do want to have those candid conversations. That's much needed. We sit in position and we go to meetings and we hold our tongues, but then after the meeting, we get on Facebook and write paragraphs or essays of statuses that we won't discuss in the meeting when you had more than enough time to discuss whatever was on your heart. So let's not keep going and running to Facebook with what we believe and what we think, but when we are part of the process, when we are putting our hands to the plow and we're actually working and we're actually supporting our leadership and we're actually saying, I'm a part of this process, not to be seen, but to really work, then and only then am I interested in really seeing some of the opinions on social media. And I don't say that to be negative or derogatory, but I'm just saying it because we have a community in a nation right now that's in an uproar because you have some that's just ready for schools to reopen and everybody to go back to school without any mask on. But then we have those that are actually sitting and watching CDC and they're watching the numbers of COVID cases increase and decrease, and they're watching that information to make informed decisions about what we shall do next. So my broadcast and my voice is not to discredit anyone in leadership. It is not to discredit anyone in leadership, but it's to empower community to support our leadership, to really understand that when you hear it for yourself from our leadership, then you can formulate an opinion, but don't go off of what you've seen somebody post on Facebook or what you heard somebody say in conversation. Now I can go back, and I am, before next Monday, going to go back and watch some of those board meetings. I don't recall in the hour and a half that the broadcast last week with Superintendent Mr. Brumwell was that mentioned. So I am saying to community tonight, Dorchester County Public Schools actually are live streaming their board meetings. If you have missed them, no worries. You can go back. You can listen to them. You can actually submit your input in order to have your input consider. Or you could do your part by submitting your input. So just keep that in mind. Listen, until next Monday, take care of yourselves. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can actually reach out to me by email, shayspeaks1@gmail.com, or on Facebook by inbox, or on YouTube. Any of the platforms, you feel free to reach out to me, shayspeaks1@gmail.com. I am just excited, and I want to say thank you to our mental health professionals that were on last Monday. We're actually going to do a part 2 series, mental health edition, just to kind of talk about the mental health community and what's happening within that community as we are still under this pandemic and experiencing COVID-19, and just everything as it relates to the mental health, mental health community. So please, if you have questions, comments, concerns, if you have people you want to connect me with that you may say, Shay, there will be a good future speaker for one of these broadcasts, connect me with them. I'm intentional about talking to them. I am not closed-minded. I am in a place in my life where, again, I don't need to be the expert at every subject matter. But when I'm connected and when I'm amongst networks that have individuals with that subject or that expert knowledge at the various subjects, it helps me to become more informed. It gives me additional education, and it helps me to develop, and it helps me to grow. So I want you all to reach out to me. Dr. Lake says, you are so right. You cannot let people in leadership determine the future of your community without accountability. This pandemic affects Blacks and Brown peoples more than any other demographic. Any plans that don't include sensitivity to these targeted communities is not an equitable plan at all. Stand and be heard. That is from Dr. Lake, and I got to tell you that there is it. But in order for us to be heard, we need to make sure that when we are speaking informed. We're not just speaking off of our emotion because of everything happened in the nation, but go back, watch those meetings, live stream. I'm going to post that link again. This is specifically for Dorchester County and any other area, any other county. If you are listening, if you catch this replay, I urge you to reach out to your local school board, check their website, and ask the question, are our meetings live streamed? Post the link so that your community can attend those meetings. Be a voice for your community. Do not sit back and wait until the finalizations are made for what's going to be. And then you say, oh, well, I didn't know anything about this. This is exactly why we host these Candid Crucial Community Conversations every Monday, because the target is to educate, inform, and empower community to be not only educated, but also to be informed, to engage in process and policy making, because it's all process. You just don't wake up tomorrow and there's a new law. That law has gone through process. So I urge you to become engaged. Don't just be a voice on Facebook, but be a voice in these meetings. Be a voice behind the scenes, sending emails, just becoming acclimated with what's happening in our local communities. Until next Monday, listen, take care of yourselves and one another. Jocelyn, thank you so much for tuning in. Overseer Troy Tillman, thank you as well for tuning in tonight. I am excited because we're going to actually host a community edition where we get community members on to speak as it relates to some of their struggles that they have been having throughout this pandemic. Again, this is their opinion. They're not expert at what the school board should do, but they're going to speak as it relates to being a single mom, trying to still work because they have a job that's considered essential, and trying to work without having support or whatever their situation has been. They're going to shed some insight on what they believe should happen as it relates to schools, not just because they need a babysitter, because let me just say this right now, the school is not the babysitter. And I think that that's what has happened in our community. I'm speaking now specifically to not just the African American community, but I'm talking about in our local communities as a whole. We drop our kids off and we put the responsibility solely on the teachers. When you look at Dorchester County's mission statement, it speaks so much so in this language that not just the teachers, in partnership with parents as well as community members and stakeholders, we are going to come together to ensure that our child is college and career ready. The school can't do it themselves. So it's not just, oh, I believe the school should be reopened and we should go back to normal activities because I got to go to work. I can't, there's no childcare openings, but it's because we want to hear legitimate reasons. I'll be honest, I'm a mother of four. I can actually homeschool the older two, but I still work. I'm teleworking till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My day is filled up with work until 4 p.m. So until 4 p.m., I am in front of a computer. I'm answering calls for the Maryland Department of Labor. So I cannot give my two youngest, the twins that are 5 years old, I can't give them that attention. However, I'm not hasty to send them back to school either, because I do have some concerns as it relates to social distancing and as it relates to the safety of not just my children, but teachers, administrators, our community as a whole. And I do feel as though this could be done virtually. I do believe that, where it wouldn't be a strain or a struggle for the teachers or the administrators. But of course, I'm only one person out of all of those that are in Dorchester County. So I'm just excited to keep the conversation going and to be realistic about what our expectations are of the school, as well as the school's expectations are of the community. The one thing that COVID-19 and this pandemic have shown me is it has taught me that all of the times that we have had a request for an accommodation that were not able to be made because of extraneous process and procedure, that sometimes it can happen instantly. So I know that there is some flexibility and there is a way to even serve underserved populations. So that's right, Jocelyn, we have to keep it real. We have to keep it real. We have to be very versatile and understanding that one solution, again, is not going to fix the problem for every person. But at the same time, let's come together to have a serious conversation, not what's going to work for the adults or the teachers or the administrators or just the students, but for all parties. I did hear, many people voice, I prefer in person. But if we be really honest, we're living in a generation where the generation now, they are so technically inclined. My 5-year-olds could tell me more about their tablet than what I could teach them. So if we be realistic, when we provide adequate resources, can virtual classes work? Yes. Is it going to be the one size that works for every person? Absolutely not, because we still have those individuals that need special accommodations. We still have those individuals that live in various parts of the county where connectivity becomes a problem. We still have those individuals that may not really have the bandwidth to handle the platform that's used to facilitate instruction. So, I could go on and I could talk about this all day long, because this thing is passion for me. I'm very passionate about seeing community involvement, engagement. I'm very passionate about building a community and seeing everybody come together where we don't have the isms and the schisms, and I can't support you because you got there before me, and I can't get with you because you don't come from the same race or lineage line that I come from, or I can't get with you because you think you better than me. No, I'm living to see the day that we can continue to have sensitive conversation, being open-minded to not just one culture, person, or individual, but all. So that's me. That's my spiel. Listen, I am your host, Shay Speaks, and I'm just excited that you have decided to come and listen to me discuss what's going to be happening over the next few weeks as it relates to this platform, Candid Crucial Community Conversations. So again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, or if you feel like you have some expert knowledge, I need you. Dr. Lake, I need you. I need individuals that will be open, that do not mind having candid, crucial community conversations to build a community, to empower a community, to be engaged in process, not a day, not a moment, but process that will continue to evoke change for the betterment for all communities. So I love y'all, and I will see y'all back next Monday at 7:30. Share this broadcast out. Let somebody know that we are live every single Monday. Yes, there is never one way fits all in education. Absolutely, Jocelyn. Absolutely. And Dr. Lake, I am going to reach out to you after I get off of this live tonight. Thank you for just being here. Tom, he said that probably he'll be back in the area next year. We definitely need you. He said it is time to get into some good trouble. I like that. It's time to get into some good trouble. Yes, it is. So until next Monday, I pray you all take care of yourselves and each other, and be intentional this week to go and listen to either a city council, county council, or a board meeting. Go hear what's going on for yourself. Don't rely on somebody else to give you their version of what was said. Go listen to it for yourselves. So until next Monday, I love you all. Take care.